Hero's next opponent has had a renaissance in 2016. One of the best Zerg in the world, bar none at this point. He's Jin Air, Green Wings, Rogue.
Another fun Zerg. This is, well, yeah, it's we haven't had a PvZ in a little while. It was since Nurcio and Mana. No, never mind. We've had a few, actually. But we're back to it. I just realized that we've been casting for a little while. We've had quite a few. Rogue made some splashes as one of the Zergs to kind of dictate the pace of the entire Zerg meta.
He absolutely
for a while
did, yeah.
there. And he's it's cool. He's on that list of Zergs that kind of came up and is now considered one of the absolute best.
Now, he's had a rough time as of late. He lost 2-0 to Neeb, of course, in the Casper Cup, and he lost to Bjorn. He bombed out of his group, uncharacteristically. Although he did just put on a great performance against Billowy in the WESG qualifiers, which happened today. And he also defeated Myungsik 2-1 as well. So his Zerg versus Protoss is looking pretty good, even if he's lost a few games against other races as of late. And I mean, in Pro League, he was a god of that matchup. I mean, Zest was his whipping boy. It was repeated defeats over and over and over again. So this is a matchup he's really strong in. It should be a good one, no doubt. The countdown has now begun.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Just a reminder to you guys, make sure and use that hashtag ShoutCraft. That's it, right? ShoutCraft?
ShoutCraft Kings. Hashtag ShoutCraft Kings to both join in the conversation and put yourself in for a chance to win either the Nova Commander Pack for StarCraft 2 Co-op or the Abathur Announcer Pack. We have 5 of each to give away. We're going to give them away in about an hour. So if you happen to be part of that hashtag, you are automatically entered into the prize draw. We'll be picking 10 people at random from said hashtag. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, to your southwest position, the challenger from Jin Air Green Wings in the yellow trunks playing Zerg. He is Rogue. Versus his opponent to the southeast position and the current king of the hill. Will he survive more than one map? So many up to this point have not. No is a solid prediction.
Yep.
He's in the blue trunks. He's from CG Entus. He is Hero.
A little bit of a shout out to one of our homeboys, Mr. Carmack, big fan of Hero. Also one of the guys that puts on IEM and ESL. Hero dismantling Gumiho. That's been the kind of funny part too, by the way. It's not so much that a king has lasted only 1 or 2 games. It's that we're like, wow, such impressive play, and the next game, they get absolutely demolished. And we're like,
Just taking a quick pause by the looks of it. Just going to try and find out what's going on with Rogue here. But yeah, you're totally right. It has been a case of like, he looks great, demolished. Like, oh, okay then.
And it's not always like this, by the way. Again, if you have some casual viewers watching, StarCraft, it does absolutely have its up and downs. We have all the top tier players playing here, so you're going to see a lot of swings, but it has been funny that it's been so up and down.
Yeah, you do see it from time to time. I mean, you know, the second tournament that we did was a little light on the streaks, but it wasn't this light. I mean, this is no streaks are allowed, apparently, in ShoutCraft Kings October. The longest we've had is 2 maps. That is uncharacteristically short. No, none of our other events have even come close to that. So that either means everyone is having an off day or this is a super competitive event. I'm going to, for the purposes of marketing, say that it's a super competitive event with our best lineup ever. That is why there are no second tier players here. They're all great.
That's right. I don't want to sound too much like a conspiracy theorist, but do you think Halloween has something to do with this?
It is possible. The witching hour approaches. Black magic could be involved. I don't have any way to prove that it's not.
That's the strongest argument here. Can someone look me in the eye and tell me without a shadow of a doubt that it's not because of Halloween? I think not. Why is there only 1 pylon here?
That is a great question. Because that probe was acting really weird earlier. I don't know if you noticed it. It was sort of hanging around the northeast of his own natural, which is bizarre. It's not going to get anything done by the looks of it, because those lings are on top of it. But yeah, you are right. That is that was a bit weird, to say the least. There's now a pylon at the back there as well. He was looking for something. I'm just not sure what exactly.
I think he was thinking about it. I mean, that was his first scout, if I'm not mistaken. He did just go to the left, and so he wasn't thinking. I don't know. He also didn't have the cybernetics core finished, but I think there was a little bit of a consideration going on there. But otherwise, Rogue is going to take that third, and Hero with the Lings there can probably infer that that is the direction he's heading. Other than that, though, he didn't see much. Like you know, he saw an insignificant number of Zerglings. He didn't see 8 or 10 or something like that. So
yeah, he doesn't know if it's a 2-base or 3-base opening. He doesn't know if there's aggression coming his way. What we're seeing is a Robo and a really quick Twilight Council here from Hero, I mean, which usually indicates things like Resonating Glaive and Warp Prism, but in this case, it's a Dark Shrine.
Yeah,
and it's gonna get seen by the looks of it. Yeah, there's. Oh, he activates it, and the Dark Shrine gets scouted. Early speed overload paying huge dividends.
And he's got to be feeling pretty bad about it. Like he's not gonna cancel out of this, guys. But what I think he will do is be a lot less all-in-y about it. I think he'll have a Warp Prism with the Dark Templar running around being annoying while he takes a third, as opposed to probably what he was planning, which is like a big Adept and Dark Templar timing attack. I could be wrong. As we can see, Warp Prism is coming out right now, and he did add those additional gateways, and he's kind of sticking by it. But with it being scouted like that, and he sees a speed overlord as it is, I can't imagine he likes his chances.
No, why would he? Now, all of his surprise is gone, and he has no idea what Rogue's doing. So, it's in the information war, Hero is light years behind at the moment. What we're actually going to see, Charge, which... I mean, that would be very unexpected. Rogue certainly would not expect that to happen. But he's allowing the DT Shrine to finish. Are we actually seeing Charge Archon here?
I guess. That would be the only thing I like. Ling Baneling is very in the meta. But what I don't like about this, John, is that look at Rogue's information. Both the third bases are 100% scouted. And if you're doing a 2-base Charge Archon timing attack, literally any Baneling nest whatsoever shuts this down. So right now, Hero...
Jesus
just
Christ, Rogue scouting is so on point. He sees the Archons morphing in. It's an Archon drop, which, you know, is... If that was a surprise, that would be a big deal, but he even knows that's happening. Well, I guess we're going to see how good this Warp Prism micro is. The answer is real damn good. Holy crap. That was an obliteration of the Zerglings. What a technique by Hero with the Archons.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool, and I'm impressed so far, but where does this go? He's got
I don't know.
More gateways, Immortals coming out. I mean, it'd be a kind of cool timing attack. He thins out the Zerglings, which is kind of, like, functionally, I'm starting to get a little bit excited.
Yeah, I mean, now's probably time to kind of leave. Yeah, oh god, he almost lost that Archon. The shields went down. Of course, you know, they can be put right back into the fight later with full shields. That's the best thing about that. That was an attack that paid dividends for no cost, really. It also confused the hell out of Rogue. I mean, come on. That is not in any way usual. Yes, it confused the hell out of the viewers.
I don't like that the tower's naked. Like, here comes the attack, and he sees that. I would have loved him to throw a single Zeld or put the Mothership Core there. But he's going to come back.
Oh! Dodge him. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Attack fails if that happens.
I mean, Hero's control with the Warp Prism is always going to be phenomenal, so... But if that had hit, that would have been it. But look at that. Charge Lot against Roaches with Archon support with Immortals and Sentries. It can work. We're about to see if it does. This is weird as hell.
Force fields.
Here we go. The force fields are great, and of course the bile was not used to crack them. All of the... Oh my god, the Zerg is melting. The Archons have connected a second Warped. What is this build? Hero throwing out something completely different, and Rogue gets crushed by it.
Get out of here. Now listen.
What the was that?
I have an obligation to speak out to the Protoss masses right now. Do not try that at home. That is not a real timing attack. This is not reality. Hero was able to pull it off with perfect Archon micro, thinning out the Zergling count, and then he jumps on top of the Roach Ravager composition. Rogue chooses that moment to try and morph in, excuse me, like 4 or 5 Ravagers. That's a little bit speculative at best. He sees the attack at mid-map and still doesn't really have enough to react to it. Like, That was bonkers, and Hero is a madman. The amount of people they're going to lose ladder points trying to pull that off for the next week, John, is staggering.
I am floored by that. I mean, that is what you do when whatever your initial cheese was doesn't work. Then you go for DT, gets immediately scouted.
Yeah.
And then you say...
Scouted.
Yeah, completely scouted. And then you say, all right, well, I mean, what about this? Like, he thinks he knows everything. So I'm going to throw the one thing at him that he is not expecting, and executes it with just absolute flawless brutality. Ruthless. Perfect.
You know what? I'm watching the stream that's behind us, too. He did this really cool thing. He actually picks off the Overlord at his third and drops a pylon. So he's selling pretty hard that this is like a harass with an expansion behind it. It doesn't get like a violent reaction out of Rogue, but it's the little thing like that that is so funny about how good Hero is. Like, just a little bit of misinformation with good harass pulled off perfect equals timing attack that works. And the difference between him and the rest of us is gross.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. We're going to take a short break, folks, while we get our next opponent ready for someone who is looking like he is in fine form. He's got 2 wins. Can he be the first one in this tournament to make it to 3? That's tricky. We'll find out after the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. This is ShoutCraft Kings, brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment. Your current king is CJ Hero. Well earned. Can he hold on to his throne? We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ShoutCraft Kings. Our current king of the hill being the one and only CJ Hero. He is looking to be the first person in this month's event to make it to 3 wins, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's how brutal this tournament has been so far.
It is today.
It is today, no doubt. And he's going to have a tough time making it there, because our next opponent makes his debut in this tournament, and he is having a hell of a year right now, and at least according to my sources in Korea, is currently one of the most passionate and hardest practicing players in the entire scene.
And results follow. It's a good pick-me-up story, TotalBiscuit.
They do. Hard work pays off, no doubt, in a time perhaps where some Koreans are feeling despondent about the state of their scene. This guy is just working his arse off, and it is paying dividends. This man was the #1 performing player in 2016 Pro League. He is KT Stats.
And he is a beast of a Protoss. Good against all matchups. Like you said, one of the hardest working players in Korea, and it's showing. Of course, going to defeat Hero here, not just because he's really good, but because we cannot see someone win 3 games. That's not allowed today.
That absolutely will not happen. These guys, of course, clashed on the Pro League circuit. Right now, Stats' PvP form, as in based on his recent victories, over 24 competitive matches, he's won 17 of them. That's 70% win rate. Most of those...
Which is... yeah.
That's God tier level. You know, that's Bonjour level. Really, really good, you know. I believe his only recent... Yeah, and I think I'm correct on this one. His only recent loss to a Protoss was actually against Neeb, and weirdly enough, he lost 1 game to Stork in the Holy Moly September finals for some reason.
I like how Stork keeps popping up in here.
Every now and again, yeah.
All these guys.
Yeah, I mean, he may not be the fastest player, he's certainly not the best player in the world these days, but the experience factor with Stork, like, he is so comfortable, and he has so much knowledge of StarCraft that, yeah, every now and again, Stork pops up and just bops a top player. It's just great. I love it. Outside of that,
it's
though,
gonna be awesome. Protoss versus Protoss, by the way, is in a... It's been fun for a while, but I just feel like it always bears mentioning, because I think this was the matchup that got to a point where everyone's like, ugh. Like, ZVZ had a low point. It's awesome. Yeah. It's aggressive. It's different. There's a lot of variety. It's very micro-oriented, from early to mid to even late game for I think the first time ever, really, in StarCraft 2. It's just awesome. I hope we get that. I feel a little bit bad because I'm yet again hyping it up, and it's probably going to be like a 4-minute pylon rush or something like that, and we're all just like, oh, okay, never mind. But maybe not.
Now, it would be unfortunate, no doubt, but I think we're going to see a great match from these two. They are that good. They've gone head-to-head time and again. They're both very, very good PvPers. Hero's form lately has been weaker than historically, but you can't necessarily count that. You know, it's not necessarily all that important.
Well, no, not in a best of one, especially when they're
no, absolutely not. You know, if it was a best of 7 series against players, you know, that he's having difficulty against lately, sure, I could see that being a vital statistic. But no, Hero is great in this matchup. We've seen him put on some unbelievable PvP performances. If I recall correctly, actually one of the best PvPs of all time that I've ever seen was in the ShoutCraft Sandisk tournament that Hero narrowly won. He put on, I think, if I recall correctly, a great series against Zest. It was one of the best PvPs I've ever seen. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight against a guy who has had a great 2016 up to this point in the southeast position of the Blue Trunks. Our first ever player from KT. They finally decided to grace us with their presence. It is Stats. Now, Mr. Jeff iNcontroL Robinson, as our resident Protoss expert, you're soaking in what's going on right now. Can you explain the situation?
Yeah, so both players are going to wall off at the ramp. That is one of the standard ways to do this. And I know that SimCity might not be the most exciting discussion for a lot of people, but in this matchup, if a couple of Adepts can get into your base, they will just end it. They will kill 5, 6, 7 probes, like at best. And those 5, 6, 7 probes, of course in a mirror matchup, but in particular in a PvP, will just end the game. So this has become one of the standards, just kind of eliminating that possibility. Usually a probe will hover around there when it gets to the time where Adepts are possible. And then you can go ahead and pylon block and just not let them in ever. And we do see that both players are opting for those Adepts, because if they're not going to do that, it's going to be punishable. But Hero, moving out an early probe with that pylon,
is this?
has almost always a Stargate at that position. It of course could be Twilight Council and Dark Shrine. This is a very unscoutable position. But from here, I'm really feeling Stargate. It allows you to detect against Dark Templar openings, but also have the potential to shut down mineral lines.
Hero has got very cheeky this whole series, really. We've been seeing a lot of unexpected stuff from him, and that's really great. Getting creative, getting aggressive, getting a little bit cheesy, trying to catch people off guard. And here we go. This is not going to be a great start for Stats. Actually looking to try and focus down Hero's Adept and somehow doesn't get it. Bit of a misclick there from Stats, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. What I like is that, again, for the second time in the very short day, we see someone using the bushes in the middle of the map to get the advantage and jump on top of an otherwise equal fight. And it's just like, how cool is that we keep seeing that? But I also like this from Hero. He's going to jump in here. He's going to scout this Mothership Core. He actually is possibly going to lose his Mothership Core. So
he's getting out.
He does get out of there. But he sees where the one pylon is, TotalBiscuit. He sees that there's no Stargate. So he's not running an Oracle into a bunch of Phoenix or something that could really shut this down. He's going to have a chance to do the attack that he wants.
Now, Hero does have 4 Adepts, but there are no Stalkers on the field, so that's not as big of a threat as it looks. But it's not that that's going to be the problem for Stats. Stats does not know about the Stargate. He didn't get into the main base. He really has had no opportunity to scout that. That could be the big surprise. And Hero is drawing the Stalkers away from the main so that Oracle can get in there.
He is, but he's losing those Adepts. And look at this other pylon timing by Stats, by the way. He sniffs something out. He warps in Stalkers in his main mineral line. He doesn't even scout the Stargate. He just knows when this can approximately show up. And this should do almost nothing. It gets chased out of here. It doesn't die yet. Okay, it does skirt away.
Yeah.
That's as close to a frown you can turn upside down as you can get for Hero, because otherwise this is a terrible opening for him.
What we are now seeing, though, is a transition through to Void Rays. Get enough of those, and those Stalkers are going to... Oh my god, Hero's taking so many risks. He's trying to get out. And you see Stats trying to bait him. It's like, hey, look, there's an open door. Walk through it. Well, here's the thing. No. But as it stands, Stats does have to pull back now, because there's actually an army now at the front door. Not a big enough one to really do much, but that should allow the Oracles to escape, actually. Hero, that's a great time for him to get away. No, not that way. There's stuff that shoots up there. He goes for it anyway. Man, that was risky, but I love the fact that he now knows where those Stalkers are. using the Oracle instead of doing damage to Scout, and now that Void Ray providing the power necessary to break through the pylon, almost kill the Mothership Core, and force probes to be pulled off the line. This is already action-packed on both sides.
The Shade in is great. The Adept does actually, or excuse me, the Oracle dies essentially for free, but these Adepts really doing what they can to stop all kinds of mining here from Stats. And otherwise, this attack is getting, like, absolutely annihilated and does not look good at all. But that little move right there gave him a chance. Now, what also happened is Stats did not remake that pylon until now, and it's a bit of a deep pylon, but he's just got so many Stalkers, I don't even know if it matters.
I don't know why Hero actually is continuing to engage in this fight. He is out. He's actually only slightly outnumbered. On the units tab, it was a lot more, but not all the Stalkers were with it, but he does need to get out of there. It was a great move by Stats to immediately kill the Void Ray before it could contribute. Would have been nice if that Void Ray was maybe a little further back, so that couldn't happen. So they both end up trading. Currently, resources lost, certainly heavily in favor of Stats. Stats has deflected a lot of the surprising moves from Hero. Hero adding another Oracle into play is going to give that another shot. This
is his best time for that, by the way. The Stalkers are out there hunting for that proxy Stargate. They do find the Adepts, but there's only one Photon Overcharge on this Mothership Core, and there's only 2 Stalkers at the natural.
Yeah, he's going to get some damage done. I like the fact that he brings in that one Adept as well. You know, just to see if he doesn't get anything done with it, but just tries that. Hero, his control is astronomical. That is, yeah. If we need someone to get in the Space Fighter and fight off the alien invaders, I would pick Hero first in this one. No doubt about it.
Him and Ender Wiggins, I agree. I mean, the fact that it only gets 1 probe, guys, but it does get another Photon Overcharge off the Mothership Core. But that probe that died is a probe that never would have died to anybody else. Another Oracle shows up in the natural.
Nice. Just a little stab.
And like, look, Hero is all but dead and still very well maybe, but all of a sudden, he's saturating his natural, he's transitioning to his own Twilight Council, and he's starting to have a chance to fight back in this game. Now, keep in mind, those 2 Oracles are going to be a nuisance forever until Blink finishes or a Stargate, something for Stats, which means in that time, we're going to see Hero be able to build up his own economy.
Yeah, this kept the Stalker army at home, you know? Now it's marching out, but it kept it home for a good couple of minutes. The problem is it's going to be a big Stalker army and a Warp Prism with Blink versus no Blink. And I'm a bit concerned about that. You know, there's no Resonating Glaives upgrade, so Adepts, they fight reasonably against Stalkers, but not brilliantly. There's not a great deal on the ground here. It's going to be reliant, I think, mostly on this Photon Overcharge. Alright, here we go. Double Photon Overcharge kicked in, and of course, immediately pulled back. Thankfully, Hero's Mothership does have a lot of energy.
Oh, that Stasis Ward. Look where it is.
That's an interesting position. If he actually blinked into that, that would be a disaster. Hero's having to blow up his own pylon to get into his base right now. Cybercore taking damage. This is an excellent bait. If he can show himself to be a little bit weaker than he actually is and force an aggressive blink forward from Stats. He does it! He does it! The trap is sprung. Hero needs to take advantage of this immediately.
Well, he also is, I mean, that's like, could be a saving grace because TotalBiscuit lost the Cybernex Core, which means he can't even build Adepts. He can only build Zealots right now. In fact, he's slow warped in, and it might just not be enough. The Blink Stalker micro from Stats is just too good.
He was trying to put down the second Stasis Ward there. In fact, the Oracle is just fighting straight up. The Photon Overcharge doing a huge amount of work, though, for Hero. A second one pops off here as well. The attack is thwarted for the time being. Blink is almost done here for Hero. Bear in mind, Hero did all of that with no Blink versus a player that had Blink and can blink back out of range on the lower ground. That was a genius move from Hero. Like, it saved him. There's no doubt. He was dead if that Stasis Ward didn't come into play. It didn't give him the overwhelming ability to destroy his opponent's army, but it kept him alive.
It's been fun watching Hero fight back against what is the inevitability, apparently, of today's King of the Hill, because Stats, by the way, just marching on, business as usual, amassing a 20-some-odd supply advantage. He already has his third. He's at a robotics facility, so he's going to have his own robotics bay, excuse me. He's going to have disruptors. He already has Blink Stalkers. He knows he's not facing some of the things that can make Blink Stalkers a little bit rough, like a bunch of Immortals. So he's just building on a bread-and-butter army that should just be significantly better than anything Hero can make.
Yes. Yes, there's no doubt. I mean, a lot has been invested in these Oracles from Hero, and they've done some damage. They were, of course, key to keeping Hero alive, but they haven't killed an awful lot. Economically, Stats is ahead. There's maybe an opportunity to go and do some damage a little bit over here, but with so many Blink Stalkers, it's not worth the risk, unfortunately. And Hero is somehow not going to lose that Oracle.
He hates that spot, Stats.
Yeah,
like,
he knows his safe space. He gets out of there. That proxy Stargate just kind of sitting in the middle of nowhere. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been killed yet. It could very easily be. And that would shut down a gateway as well. Expensive to replace. But
look at that. Stats making a Stargate because he's just tired of these damn Oracles. He's like, you know what? I can afford it.
Yeah, he can.
He just needs to make one Phoenix, and it'll just shut this all down.
Totally true. If there's going to be any more Oracle use, it'll probably be defensively. What if the Oracle's able to get out, maybe use another Stasis Ward at some point, that would be good. Stats has Immortals in the mix. I mean, Stats just has the superior army here. But the Hero is getting Disruptors, and it gets very interesting when both Protoss players get their Disruptors. That can change a fight. Even if you have a larger army, you eat 2 bad Disruptor shots, and that does not matter.
Dead War Prism.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Stats moved out to the middle of the map. He was thinking about doing something, but he's got to be a little bit nervous about Stasis Wards. If he does an aggressive blink forward and gets all these Stalkers trapped, all of a sudden that's a game that he could lose. He's going to do the safe thing. He's going to take a 4th base and build on his army. What this does do, to your point, TotalBiscuit, is this does mean Disruptors are coming out for Hero. And now all of a sudden, Hero, a player that was...
doubling it up, too.
Well, you have to.
Yeah. This is going to get crazy. Bear in mind, of course, this is on the Korean server, lag-free. You are about to see an incredibly intense micro battle. And really, that's what PvP has now become. The addition of the Disruptor into PvP has made this mid-game portion of the match just incredible in terms of control.
One of the absolute hardest, which is such a turnaround. It used to be that PvP was the most like A-move matchup, and of course there was some micro, like there isn't anything StarCraft, but it was just a lot less so. Hero is going to move out here, and oh my god, Stats is on the wrong side of the map as this pushes out. He's going to have to come home because he's not far enough out, but in doing so,
he makes himself vulnerable to Disruptor shots. Hero is preparing for that, and he's leaving the Disruptors a little bit behind here. I mean, Stats, of course, knows it. Oh, Hero loses a Disruptor there. Eats a shot directly. Oh, that was not too bad at all, but a lovely blink here from Stats. Picks off another Disruptor. Nice moves here from Stats. Like, you could walk into a real trap there, but he knew it. He knew that was a risk, and he engaged really well.
He did. Stats was able to fire first, so with his Disruptor shot killing the Disruptor of Hero.
Oh, that was a big one! And a second one coming in as well, but the Disruptor was shot. Though, unfortunately, now Hero's out of Disruptors. That's not good at all.
30 supply advantage. He's got another Disruptor coming over, but it's just at his 3rd. There is no 4th here.
Yeah, he needs to get all the rest of those Disruptors in play. I mean, there's still 3 on the map for Hero. He just needs to get them in the right place and then force his opponent into a bad fight. And hopefully not eat more big Disruptor shots. Oh, just beautiful shots here by Stats. Absolutely beautiful. Time Warp goes down. It's going to make Disruptors easier, but none if you don't have any. Hero's bringing the additional 2 Disruptors in from his main base, taking fire on his 3rd in the process. A couple of good shots could easily change the face of this matchup.
Good. Both players just playing with fire here, but again...
Yeah, this is so knife edge.
Getting this Oracle would be really nice, actually. Stats so on top of it. Even just before it dies, a cast Revelation on top of the Stalkers. But a 4th base for Stats means that he's just... And he actually ends up finding this middle pylon, which is not the biggest of deals, but it is a nice little advantage. And Hero, we were talking about him clawing back in. We were talking about how he could maybe fight this out. Gonna go Dark Shrine, and that's because, guys, he's way, way behind. And all of a sudden, here we see 2... Stats realizing if he just keeps on the pressure, this War of Attrition is going to fall in his favor unless a big Disruptor shot annihilates his army.
And that could always happen. And that's really what Hero is sort of banking on. The problem is you're playing against a guy who is just as good as you and is just as capable of landing those money shots as you are. So it's a tricky prospect. Hero has held in remarkably well. His defenses have been so good. You know, he lost almost no workers at all on that attack on the 3rd. Of course, we remember the initial attack and the use of the Stasis Ward to great effect. But the entire game he's been playing from behind economically. His pro count's only at 48. He's a base behind. He's behind in tech. His army's smaller.
He just lost War Prism. He was going to Dark Shrine and go for some kind of mega, you know, like 4 or 5 Dark Templar warp in and just try to sow terror. But he just doesn't get it. And now, this is a weird move by Stats, by the way. His army's completely split up. Here comes Stalkers with his disruptors.
Here comes
But
the
he could lose
defensive.
all the disruptors. This would be very weird.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that we saw a pullback there from Hero. Hero clearly had the upper hand in that fight. Obviously, it was going to be attempt to draw his army out and then attack from the other side, but Stats then didn't. So I'd love to see Hero just jump on this army if he can and go for it. I mean, there is a big... Oh, hello, Charging Zealots being brought into the fray. That was a nice little surprise there by Stats, and suddenly Hero has to turn around. Bear in mind, of course, big upgrade advantage for Stats as well going into this.
This is so crazy. The Stats is on both sides. That's not really making a mistake. The Adepts shutting down. The mining at the Natural's really nice. There's still
Warp
no fourth.
Prism. Warp Prism's going into the main here as well, so damage is going to be done there. Hero so far with his Disruptors is staying alive. What's the Disruptor count? It's currently 6 versus 6. And here comes the big army. Oh, somehow that Disruptor shot misses.
It's because he died.
Yeah, that would do it. Yep. Hero being so dicey with those disruptors, but he does manage to kill a bunch of them. And here, this is just this is a mess one way or the other. Hero's going to get the defense by the looks of it and picks off the disruptor, but at the cost potentially of his third base. Unless we see a really great shot here, he blinks out of the way, blows up his own probes. 28 probes lost when he didn't have all that many to begin with. That is not good at all. A blink forward from Hero to defend, but this is looking dire for CJ Enter's Hero.
Stats is going to disengage, which I guess when you have a guy that's got 3 probes on his third that you've been butchering, you can do that because there's just no way for him to lose. He's going to add more disruptors. He's got 1 million charge lots down on the southern part of the map. He wants Hero to feel this, and Hero's going to push forward, but there's just nothing behind it.
No, there isn't. You know, no upgrade advantage. So many disruptors for the opponent. You know, running right into this would be insane, but honestly, what else are you going to do at this point? He's way too far behind. You know, he's just hoping for... Maybe if I blow up his entire army with some good disruptor shots, I could somehow win it.
Look at this. He's not even counterattacking. He's flanking.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to kill your army. I want this over.
Yeah, and it will happen by the looks of it. Hero does not have enough disruptors. He does connect with 2 of them, which was great, but he's now surrounded. No! The Valve curse continues. There will be no 3. Stats takes the crown from Hero.
Yeah, and I feel strangely repetitive in saying this, but man, he looked impressive. Like, again, we get somebody that gets a win or 2, and then the guy that dethrones them does so in mega convincing fashion, as if everything that happened before that was a fluke. It's been a really fun escalation of skill so far, but Stats played about as sound of a PvP as you could possibly play. Warping in instinctually because he just felt like a Stargate was coming. Having an overwhelming force for a timing attack when, by the way, he had 2 gateways for most, 2 gateways for most of that, but just so continuously hitting his cycle that even with 3 gateways, but yes, less income, he had more army, did Stats. Just like, incredibly impressive play across the board.
No doubt. That was... absolutely phenomenal play from Stats. Great from Hero as well, obviously. Fantastic from him too, but I've got to say, that was impeccable play from Stats.
Yeah. Agreed. Excited to see who's going to smash him in a game or 2 as well. Inevitably.
I'd love to see it. We've still got plenty of great players coming forward here in ShoutCraft Kings. We're also going to be announcing shortly the winners of the announcer packs. Just double checking that this player is available. And he is. Awesome. Okay. We'll be setting up this game quite shortly. I don't know if anyone's going to make it to 3 wins, honestly, at this point. I don't think it's going to happen. It's just been such a brutal tournament. That was a great PvP. I'm hoping we get to see a few more good Protoss versus Protoss before we wrap this event up, and I'm sure we will. In the meantime, I've got to ask, who do you think's been the most impressive this tournament so far?
Well, that's the kind of funny thing. Like, when they are impressive, I don't know that I could answer that with a straight face, because that game of Innovation versus Solar was just absolutely stunning.
It was.
But then the way that he got just manhandled, the way Gumiho manhandled, that was absolutely stunning. And now stats, like this is, again, a very immaculate, very just well-played PvP against Hero, who was being really, you know, frisky and doing different things and coming for different angles and microing very well, triggering off photon overcharges, but all of it seemed incredibly, like, you know, just unimportant. It's like, yeah, you can do all your fancy stuff. I'm just going to have a better economy with perfectly microed army. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I have that caster answer for you. I don't know who's been most impressive. It's like across the board, everyone in their own way.
A lot of people just been playing really, really well here. All right, our next challenger, ladies and gentlemen, coming in right here on New Gettysburg for stats. Now, this guy was considered certainly last year, I think, to be one of the best Zerg in the world. He's had a bit of a rough 2016, so hopefully this tournament will be a chance for him to get right back into the top picture. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you SKT1 Sue.
Very excited about this. This is a Zerg that, in his prime, which, you know, we're not talking about 5-10 years ago, but he was considered the best Zerg for a short period of time. Certainly one of the most accomplished in the last few years, and obviously we're not about to talk about how he's the reigning Zerg god champion, but he's up there. He's one of the top 5 for sure, I would say.
Yep, he's been having a couple of difficulties as of late. Plenty of players have. It's not indicative of a huge drop in skill. It's just Korea is the most competitive place on Earth for StarCraft by far. And there are so many good players and so few top spots to take. It's very easy for a great player to get swept under the rug, which I felt has been happening to Sue lately. Although I will say, certainly his current form against Protoss is extremely good. We're looking at 80% win ratio in his last 5 or so matches, which is not a huge sample size, but it's pretty good. You know, he beat down Trust in the Lifang Cup a couple of days ago, and he obliterated Hurricane as well in the same tournament. He's got a great shot. Both of these guys are awesome. Looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I'm going to check if they are both ready to go, and we'll dive in on New Gettysburg. You know, again, yet another Pro League or GSL level final matchup. You know, this could have very easily been a top final in the world. We're now getting to see it right here. Stats versus Sue. KT versus SK Telecom T1. The long rivalry between teams continues.
And I want to take this time too, because I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's just so cool that here on the Saturday morning for most of us, we're getting to watch this caliber of a match in a fun setting like this. So shout out to Blizzard, of course, for endorsing, supporting, and making this possible. But also, John, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to you and your team for putting this on as well. You guys freaking kill it. I really appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun over the last 4 months. Looking forward to seeing what's happening, because there's something very special for this tournament happening in November. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but trust me, it's going to be...
Can I guess?
Electrifying. No, you may not. Because we're doing an announcement, and it's a 12 pool. There is a 12 pool. We do not have time for guessing. iNcontroL Robinson to the southwest position in the Blue Trunks, playing Zerg SKT1 Sue with the 12 pool versus his opponent to the southeast position, the current king of the hill. Might not be for much longer. We will find out very soon. It is KT Rolster's stats.
Just not scouting, by the way.
Yeah, he's not.
You don't build a Nexus, then scout. That's not really a timing. If you don't scout, you just don't scout. You kind of sell yourself on it. So
this could be horrible for stats.
It's a wide ramp, too. It's not like some of these maps have Gateway, Cybernetics Core, and a pylon will wall you off. Maybe 2 pylons. This map, nope. Several buildings. And, okay, I was wrong. He's going to go scout, actually. But he's going to get the information at a really uncomfortable time.
Yeah.
You also don't build a forge here. I mean, this is Sue having face stats and knowing that he does this, is what I have to imagine.
Yeah. He knows. I mean, for God's sake, they have entire coaches dedicated to knowing that. You know, these guys are the big guys for Pro League for their teams. You know, they play a huge amount of Pro League. They've got to know this. 8lings immediately into a hatchery. Not committing anymore.
The gas. Need the money.
He's not going to cancel that gas. Oh, there we go. Nick of time. He cancels the gas. Yep, he needs all the money he can get.
How do I solve this problem? Right there, he was just thinking. He was like, what?
Oh, God. There's lings. Pull the probes, basically, is your solution.
He has to.
and try and survive long enough. You know, don't lose that pylon. If that goes down, that's no military units for you. You might as well kiss your kingship and crown goodbye. He knows you must defend this. The amount of lost mining time here, though, man, is going to be disastrous. That's assuming he doesn't lose any probes.
He's pulling back the probes that are getting hit.
It's really good.
Nothing.
Yeah. Outside of a lot of mining time, of course. But no, he has not lost any probes. And that is incredible to see. Still, of course, driving forward with a large portion of his probes, which he actually doesn't need to do. I mean, he has he's got that zealot now. If you put it against a wall, he should be fine, as long as it doesn't get surrounded. So this is actually proven to be more effective than it had any right to be because of the fact that these probes were off the line for so long. And it was immediately followed up by double hatch behind it. But you're totally right. Stats micro on the probes was nothing short of perfect.
Yeah, it was interesting. He desperately didn't want these lings to get in, and I think this is wise because they're always going to run in here and do this.
Yeah,
and I think if they would have gotten earlier, they could have even threatened. I don't think they'd kill the Nexus necessarily, but maybe. So that was kind of the incurred cost that was going to happen no matter what. He had to stay off, but it's tough because initially the defense was perfect, but then with how much time was lost by having all those probes off. Now we see the effects of it. You see on the other side of the map 3 hatcheries.
The Zerg opened 12 pool and is ahead of the Protoss economically after the Protoss lost 0 probes. Just think about that for a second. Yeah. That's how effective that really was. The true cost in lost mining time.
Going for the gas of the natural might have been a minor mistake here as well. I mean, again, he's literally losing. He's lost 2 probes in total, and one of which was a scouting probe that he lost as natural. But just and a lot of people talk about this, and I feel like sometimes it's actually a bit silly where they're like, oh yes, but the missed mining time. If it's minuscule and you're on like 3 or 4 fully saturated bases, that doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
But here in the early game, and for how long and for how many probes he had not mining, it's been a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see on the work account. 8 workers ahead for the Zerg that started with the 12th ball. He got his 3rd hatchery up without any worries whatsoever. He put Stats in a position where Stats had to defend. You know, he had to give up any thought of going across the map and harassing. Stats doesn't know about the 3rd base. He can maybe assume it, but he doesn't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst case scenario that he's probably pretty sure is happening right now. He has that pylon at the natural, so he knows there hasn't been any kind of fall. I mean, not natural, excuse me, at the kind of middle pathway. He's reasonably sure that there has been no Zerglings out there sharking around, which means they were all probably made into drones. So he knows he's in bad shape. How bad shape, he might not be completely privy to, but it's pretty bad.
It is a bit of a mess. There is no doubt about that. It's amazing that so much was done off the back of that for Sue there. That was a very risky opening, but it paid off. Not in the way that you would have expected, but it really did. So we now have a pretty damn even game with perhaps advantage Zerg as it stands.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what decision Stats makes from here, and it's going to be that Forge. He's making a lot of sentries, which I think if you were to look at in a vacuum, you'd be like, well, sentries aren't very good. You can, you know, you got Ravagers, and there's Banelings, of course, and if they can just knock the force fields down, they die. But Stats right now is saying, yep, I'm behind, but force fields are going to be how I take a fast 3rd to try and get myself back into this game. He's just accepted that he's behind, so you can't play mega straight up and safe, because that'll just be compounding on your loss. He's going to take a few risks, and this seems to be the very favorable kind of middle ground risk that he's going to take.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think taking a huge risk at this point wouldn't be the way to go. It's too easy to lose to a player of the caliber of Sue when you do that. And considering the lack of information that Stats has been working with up to this point, you can't blame him for playing a middle-of-the-road approach here.
Oh, I love this. And with the Motion Core, he's actually moving out. He's really trying to sell, hey, look, I'm really coming after you. Maybe my 3rd's a fake. Maybe I have 20 gateways in my main base. And he's trying to get an army reaction out of Sue, and that's exactly what he's getting. The kind of funny thing here is, be careful what you wish for, because this is going to be 5 hatcheries off of full saturation. Well, almost full, 64 drones of production. And it's like, well, okay, Stats, can you then hold the response? Because he's going to be like, oh, I've been duped. Well, let's just attack anyways. And does that kill him?
It could. It could very well. You know, he can pull back, certainly, with the Mothership Core, so it's not like he's risking this army too much, but you're right. Do you want to poke the bear right now? You know, this guy has production that you certainly can't match up to. He can suddenly turn on attack mode, get a huge number of lava, and run at you. And he's starting to get upgrades into the mix as well. Weirdly enough, Zergling's speed isn't even done yet. It's because, I mean, well, what would he use it for? He finally has it, and now the attacks are going to start to crash against the defenses of the Protoss. But Stats tucks away this little army, and he goes after this 4th base. Yeah, he's going to force Sue to back off, and he's going to have to, and he's going to be able to get out of here quite nicely, and that's the usefulness of the force fields. Knowing your opponent has a Ling heavy army, or at least assuming it, kill the queen, get out. Do you think he should have stayed a little longer, considering the force fields? Maybe he warped out a little bit quick?
I think he's just happy. Like, if Ravagers show up and drop this really terrible, you know, corrosive bile, and all of a sudden that is a loss, then that becomes very dangerous. But as it was, he picks off a queen, buys time, and now he's able to pull back. Oh, a huge mistake. The Zealot
Oh, that's him in the main base.
Just before a cannon finishes, too. The timing of this is terrible.
Yeah, that is ugly, no doubt about it. Down go the Photonova charges. The Lings are trying to ravage the base. The cannon goes up, but the Zealots are in a great position, actually, and they're shutting that down really, really well. Lings overrunning the natural. The 3rd base is where the defense is going to try and happen. Ravager Bile coming down. Not really connecting too much. Does kill a Stalker, but it's being held, but the economic loss is massive here for the Protoss. Oh my god.
I can't believe the Lings won the fight in the main. The Zealots were actually in a narrow choke spot.
Yeah, they were.
A cannon finish, and the Lings still won that fight.
There were just so many. It was overwhelming. It did look like the Zealots were going to be able to hold, but as they said, they cannot. And that was a lot of economic damage done. And honestly, the Zerg has a lot of money to back this up. As you can see by the investment into 21 Banelings, we're seeing Storm being added on here for Mr. Stats. What do you
like it, but it's not going to matter. There's just so much production behind this. Sue has continued to add drones during this whole thing, so he's up to 78 drones without skipping a beat. He's taking a 5th base. Every time he fights, it's been a bit of a trade, but he can trade. He's got all the resources in his corner. He's got all the production. It's Stats that desperately wants him to just leave him alone for a while.
Oh, he almost hit the mothership goal there with just a barrage of bile, but here we go once again. Lings do get past the force fields. Banelings do try and connect as well, and some of them are fighting their way around, and they're going to detonate right in the center of the army. The blink back didn't work. A massive Baneling detonation wipes Stats off the map. GG once again.
It's amazing. Like literally, Stats looked so good one game before, and again, it's best of 1. So guys, I'm not trying to make this sound like he's just falling apart at the wheels or something like that, but just this game, Sue dismantles him. Does a build that, as you said, was probably scouted out, was probably informed by either a coach or just practice, and then takes that advantage and never turns back. It was not even close.
It wasn't. Crazy. They're all great, but apparently they're all equally great today. This is going to be a tournament where nobody runs away with a lot of money, but everyone gets, you get a decent dinner out of it. It's not too bad.
They get a decent little, again, keep in mind they're just playing 1 or 2 games. Like, it's an awesome day for them. They get a great audience. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, 21,000 people. That's huge.
Yep, I was just on the English server as well. Big thanks, of course, to our 4 foreign language streams today. We upped it a little bit. We added German stream to Take TV and a Polish stream with the one and only MSC. And of course, our French casters, O Gaming, have been with us since the beginning. So big thanks to all of you. Big European representation for this event. So around 25,000 people currently watching live, which is great. That's awesome numbers. Really happy about that. And we are not done. There are still more matchups to go. Still great players to enjoy.
It's been awesome. Everyone's been really cool. Good discussion. Been on Twitter as well. Make sure and use that hashtag, guys. ShoutCraft Kings. The giveaway is coming up here pretty soon.
It indeed is. Yeah, we're going to do this match, and then we're going to take the next break, the final break, and that is when we're going to do the giveaway. So, take part in the hashtag ShoutCraft Kings, and that will enter you with a chance to win either the Nova Commander Pack, brand new Commander Pack for co-op, or a copy of the Abathur Announcer Pack.
Good stuff. It's all brand new, too, I think. I don't know if I've even heard any of that, right?
No, you shouldn't have. That is all new content for StarCraft 2. So that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Abathur, I don't know, I'm split between Abathur and Alarak for who I would want. as my announcer.
Well, you could do both, right? Not at the same time, but you could alternate.
I'd like to just have them arguing. That'd be great. Just put them both in there. One makes a suggestion, the other says, no, that's a terrible idea.
That sounds like one of my rings of hell. Like two announcer voice packs arguing while playing StarCraft. Why don't you just up the ante of stress there for everyone?
No one would ever play ladder again. All right, our next competitor. I would ask, is he good enough to beat? And the answer is always apparently going to be yes this event. Yes. Yes, totally. Anybody can. Why not? But this man in particular is riding high. He made history in the Casper Cup because he is the one and only Neeb.
And I am pumped for Neeb. Neeb is, we were talking about people reaching the top of the foreigner food chain. Well, there's been a bit of an unprecedented level of that. Neeb going over to Korea and winning a fairly significant tournament in convincing fashion, by the way. 4-0 in the finals, making it kind of bland.
3-1 stats.
Yeah.
We could have potentially seen a rematch, but unfortunately Sue said no. Here's the thing. What we did see a lot of in that tournament was Neeb fighting against Protoss. Lots and lots and lots of Protoss. He did have a very competitive series against Pet. Now, I'm interested to see how he does against a Zerg of the caliber of Sue. I think this is going to be a tougher matchup than most people might think.
Yeah. But isn't that funny? Isn't that a funny thing to say? It's like, Neeb could have more of a tough time against Sue. It wasn't long ago, guys, where this would be a joke of a match where you and I would be under fire for favoriting foreigners and bringing them in when they don't deserve to be here, but a few of them do. A few of them have put in the work and have the talent and are making some pretty awesome runs in various forms. And speaking of later this month and going into November, I can't wait to see Neeb at BlizzCon, and hopefully he can deliver and make it competitive. That'd be the first time at BlizzCon. All the foreigners that have shown up and played there have been a bit of a joke. It's been bad.
They got obliterated. There's no other way to put it. And he's not the only competitive foreign player there either. Nurchio's there too. And he put on a great showing in Casper Cup. Didn't win it, but his performance against Koreans, especially in ShoutCraft Kings, has been unbelievable. He's the most successful foreigner in this tournament against Korean players up to now. Nurchio's form is like the best it's ever been. So I'm really intrigued to see those guys play, and we might get a surprise from players like Showtime as well, who are also really great and more than capable.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I hope. As it has been cursed today that nobody can win more than 2 matches, the BlizzCon curse has been Koreans put on great games, but everybody else, it's just a waste of time. So we'll see.
It absolutely is, yeah. It's been super disappointing in previous years to watch foreigners play. It's just been like, it's been a formality. Just get it out of the way in the round of 16 so we can watch the real guys go at it. But this time around, by hook or by crook, Blizzard did force the situation where there are 8 foreigners and 8 Koreans. We're going to see how that pays off.
I think in years past, I mean, we'll have to see, like you said, but in years past, it's been like, well, this was a bad idea, and this is going to be rough. But if there was a year where the gap has closed in StarCraft 2, it's this year. This is the best chance with these foreigners to put up some good games.
Yep. Certainly with Nurchio and Neeb. Without a doubt. I'm intrigued to see how it goes, It's been a big experiment from Blizzard, and they really took the omelette approach. They broke a lot of eggs to get to this point. The question is whether or not the final product is going to be worth it, whether or not it was a good idea. BlizzCon will be the proving ground for that. If we see a foreign champion who had a good run, then I think at that point you can safely say that the changes to the WCS system have encouraged a higher level of play from the foreign scene.
But are you guys waiting on me?
We're already in the game.
Right server?
Yeah, we already started the game. we thought you were in.
It's gonna be hard for me to cast in there.
It
John.
will be tricky. Yeah, I would say so. That would be difficult. Let me see. I'm trying to think what I can do to help you here.
I have to say, this is my first time as a co-commentator being forgotten in a tournament. I like it.
I'm sorry. Everyone was ready as far as I knew. All right, I'm trying to think of a way around this, as currently nothing's really happening. There's a base up, and there's 3 bases going up here for Sue. I might be able to stream you via Skype.
No, we shouldn't. I mean, if we're gonna stick in the game, just go for it, man. I'll be the.
I'm trying to think of a way of at least letting you see it in real time without restarting the game. I think I can do it. Are you on Skype? I can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna screen share and hope that I have enough bandwidth for this. I'm pretty sure I do. You will be able to see it. Make sure to mute your microphone. Share screens. This is technology right here. Share your screen. Okay. You should currently be seeing a window with StarCraft in it. Do you see it?
Yes.
Great. You can cast. Awesome.
Yeah, we are. So I'm seeing 4 minutes and 15 seconds right now.
Yep, that's in real time.
Oh my.
I'm streaming 2 video streams directly from my machine right now and hoping against
inside
hope.
of a stream.
I could do it. I could do it. You can see it. The technology is real. Okay. Let's talk about the situation. There are a bunch of Neeb's adepts barreling towards Sue right now. Sue went for an economic opening, which he sort of got away with. A couple of Lings get shut down here. Resonating Glaives is about to go in, though. This is a big adept timing against bugger all. Actually, there's 10 roaches just about to pop out here. How much damage do you think this is going to do?
I love the double Stargate behind this, by the way. It has to do a lot. He's going to show up to the gold. It's not going to be that he doesn't have the ability to do a straight-up fight. The advantage is going to be that these adepts are going to be really tough to chase down. And there you can see he gets all the drones off the gold, but he is going to kind of come back around here. He's trimming off the Zerglings, which is good, and he's shading away. And with the stand-up fight here, he's going to kill most of the adepts, but like the 4 or 5 that make it out are going to be mostly uncontested, which means a lot of drones dying.
They're going to be hard to chase down. And the reason he was thinning out those Zerglings is to make sure there was no chase down potential. Couple more Lings come out and get instantly killed. 10 drones killed. Bear in mind, it's a 10 adept investment. That's not a huge amount. There were Lings ready, thankfully, to surround that, though, and Sue is able to finally shut that down. But 12 drones were killed in the process, and an uncountable number of Lings.
49 probes to 38 drones. It's double Stargate behind this, with the 3rd going down for Neeb. And now double Robo. Because why not? And oh, by the way, there's Photon Overcharge. So the ability for the Zerg Sue here to return and try and get the trade back is basically non-existent. It's just Lings coming out. You can see on that production tab, it's drones behind this. So this is not a real attack. And with the Stargates and the available production already there for Neeb, again, with that Photon Overcharge, this isn't even a real feint. Neeb's not freaking out at all.
No, and those roaches are going to get lifted up as they try and leave and slowly picked off, tickled to death by these Phoenixes. The Phoenix control is going to allow Neeb to take full control of the map, obliterate overlords left and right, and then start hitting production lines, and that's the double Robo that's just been scouted there. So much tech available right here for Neeb. Immortals being added into the mix, and Sue can't stay on roaches now. I mean, it's just not going to happen. With double Immortal, no way.
He's going Hydra. He's going to try to drop this Robo Bay here in an attempt to try and slow some of this down, but if he stayed committed there, he would lose everything. Behind this, he's like so happy that he saturated his 3rd, but guess what? You're on equal economic footing with the Protoss. They have the same number of Harvesters, and that's before these Phoenix turn their attention to the Zerg over at his half of the map. So yeah, he's going to go Hydra behind this, but he already sees the double Robo. He already knows he has more than access to Adepts. So he's like, what do I do? He's already one step ahead of me.
Yeah, it's difficult. The only saving grace, I suppose, is the Phoenix count never got to critical mass. So you get in this situation where, I have to build Hydras here, but there's 12 Phoenix, which means all my Hydras get killed incredibly fast. So people think, well, they shoot up. No. I mean, they're light units. They get ripped to shreds by a large number of Phoenix. Thankfully, there aren't that many of them, so he should be able to get his Hydra count up and build it to where it needs to be. But there's no doubt this is a big concern here for Sue.
And Neeb is building on a bigger army lead. Yes, both these leads are minuscule, but the fact that the Protoss is leading in supply by both Harvesters and Army spells very bad news bears for your Zerg players. There's no Lurker Den going down behind this. It's just going to be Roach Hydra. And a big part of that is because of how much economy he has suffered and just how scared he feels about that. It's going to be Templar Archive behind this, so it's going to be your classic Charge Light Archon Templar with the backbone of these Phoenix. And as you said, it's not a super critical mass number of them, but what's scary about them is that they can pick up 5 or 6 Hydras at a time, or if they do go Lurker, pick up 5 or 6 Hydras at a time. It's just, if you're in Sue's position right now, honestly, what do? You can't switch to Mutas. You're already facing Phoenix. Lurkers are like your best bet, but even that is getting answered actively as we see. It's just an incredibly rough spot.
It really is. Double Oracle being thrown into the mix right there. That is an
Revelation?
Interesting decision. Yeah, Revelation.
Why not?
They do kill Hydras very, very fast if uncontested, but, you know, the Revelation is probably the reason he's doing that. Just get... that's to me just safe. Like, Neeb doesn't want any surprises. He already knows he has the production and the tech to answer anything that Sue has, and he has economic superiority. So the only thing that can maybe kill him is a giant surprise.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I don't even see what kind of surprise could happen, but,
well,
you know.
The surprise is going to be a bunch of Banelings. That's what Sue's going to attempt here, and honestly, that's probably his best bet. He's stored up a lot of gas. He can go for some just kind of gigantic 150, 160 supply army of a ton of Banelings, hope that the force fields are minuscule, hope to get the big connects, and just, you know, spiral from there. That's honestly his best bet, and I like that he's giving himself that chance. But, you know, not to bark up this tree too much, but it's just Neeb is just squelching him of all other options. The Phoenix are remaining on top of the Zerg, so he's kind of keeping tabs of what the army is looking like. He's taken his own fourth as the gold is drying up. The Oracles get whatever information the Phoenix aren't getting. It's just, he's all over the place.
Yep, he absolutely is. Hive is on the way. There is a risk that if Neeb leaves Sue alone for too long, that Sue can come up with an answer. But as it stands, that army, very tech-heavy. Weirdly enough, like, there's almost no meat there. Like, it's all tech. It's Immortals, it's High Templar, it's a very control-heavy kind of army.
And the Storm, again, spoils the fun for Sue. Just one or two storms destroys the Banelings, and if there's any force fields to stop them up into a clump, it's going to be one of those moments where we all start screaming and shouting. But honestly, it's just Neeb ahead, and here we go. Sue's going to push out, but with that Revelation on top of his army, this is just being stared at by Neeb.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Neeb is going Fleet Beacon and a third Stargate. He can either go Tempest or even Carrier from this position. He's going Tempest just because he can. That also preemptively does a reasonably good job of shutting down, you know, things like Vipers and all that kind of thing. Oh my god, it's just... He has every answer to everything, but the only issue that I have with Neeb right now is that he's not attacking. He's not... I mean, he's building a bunch of photon cannons. He's playing defensively and allowing tech to come into play. And he preempts the Greater Spire as well.
I know. That's what I'm laughing about. He's literally building Tempest before the Greater Spire even got started. Like, that is the anti-timing of anti-timings for the Zerg. Like,
that's
typically
his build.
Speaking, you're lucky to have 3 or 4 Tempests when Broodlords are already out. You just hope that they're not attacking. But it doesn't. He's just already making them.
Yeah, it's like, have everything. Preemptively answer anything the Zerg can do before they can do it. It's exactly what's happening here. And Sue's economy is finally, like, in a pretty damn good spot. But, I don't know. This is a massive Protoss army. It is, however, a very expensive one. If something goes wrong here, this ain't getting replaced particularly quickly.
No. And Neeb, to your point, at first I was like, no, I'm pretty okay with him just playing defensively. And honestly, in the mega late game, Protoss does do really well, especially when the Zerg is sitting on a Ling, Baneling, Hydra army. Like, he wants to trade that out, does Sue. But that window of opportunity that where this is cool does have just that, a window. Like, if this goes on, and Sue is able to exchange this army for 4 or 5 Vipers, a bunch of Corruptors, a bunch of Broodlords, you know,
Look at the
Infestors.
bank of Sue. What is he saving this for?
That air army, I'm pretty sure. Oh, you know what? He might do a Muta switch. It might be 35 Mutas at one time.
Which would work, actually. That might be the way to go. You know, jump on the Tempest, jump on the... There's a mothership on the way, because of course there is. You think Neeb might be showboating a little bit here, or...
No, he's
No, he definitely needs this. Oh, Double Storm goes down.
Interview. There's There's no such thing.
But 23 workers just died, and the 4th is under threat here as well. You know, Su finally shows his army, and you were saying, you know, he wants to trade this army out. He's going to do that. He traded it out for 23 workers.
Watch the production tab. Watch the mutas.
Oh, I'm keeping an eye out. I'm keeping an eye out.
Making Zerglings. I'm not sure why. I think he wants he wants it to be like 60 mutas at one time, or 40 or something crazy.
I mean, building a few more lings is not a huge deal. He's Corruptors. Corruptors?
Okay, now I'm... Alright. I got nothing, John. I'm gonna go make myself some bagel bites, and I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, I mean, he saw the Tempest. There's no way he's going Broodlord. That's ridiculous. There's 9 Tempests.
Stupid.
No.
This is not good. You saw, like, mutas against Tempest are fantastic. He saw Storm. Storm also not very good against mutas. Of course, in a straight-up fight, they're fantastic, but that's never what you're going to do with mutas. He has Crackling, so, like, 60 mutas and Zerglings counterattacking will ravage any base. Any base at all. That's all what's set up here, but he's just... I guess he's saying we're not going to do the counterattack game. I think the only thing I can say is he's reading from Neeb, you're actually never attacking. So if I were to go mutas, they would actually, they could do nothing.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting surprise. But you know, throwing a lot of resource into just trying to Baneling bust down these bases. But there's so many. There's cannons everywhere. There's 12 Tempest with a mothership core, for the love of God.
I guess on this map you don't actually have to ever attack, is what's
There's
happening.
also stasis wards everywhere. The Banelings hit the stasis ward. They're not going to even get there.
But we have reached that time, Tobis, where I agree. You know, maybe Neeb knows... well, there's no maybe. Neeb knows a lot of things I don't.
Building Broodlords. There's 13 Tempest. Here, well, there goes the Banelings on the left-hand side. He does make his way into the mineral line with some of them, but great splits from Neeb. And, well, apparently Tempest are a really good Baneling counter. Who knew? Some damage was done, however, up to the northwest base. 13 more workers killed. So, economically, the Protoss is in a pretty rough shape.
Yeah, his army's huge, though. He's got 44 probes, and he's actually at 194 supply, 46 probes. So his army's absolutely massive.
Attack?
I think not. 11 Templar, by the way. 11 Templar.
I mean, surely now is just the time to go with the Tempest, right? I mean, just go and kill him, right?
You would hope so.
I mean, there's nothing the Zerg could do about it. 15 Corruptors enough to take down 13 Tempest with
Not
2
with
plus 2 upgrades? I don't think so, no.
But it's weird. He's adding gateways behind us.
He's adding 19 more
probes.
Corruptors. He's literally just going Mass Corruptor and Ling.
With a good spread. So here's one thing to keep track of. The Archon count is actually very low. So one of the things you would want with that... Storm's going to be nice, don't get me wrong, but Storm by itself against Corruptors is actually not fantastic if they're spread out.
Yes.
If you have 4 or 5 Archons to deal out that massive damage to biological, then yes, all of a sudden you become pretty scary, but he only has the... well, now 0 Archons, actually.
0 Archons, 30 Corruptors here. This might work, although, unfortunately there's no ground army for the Zerg. Like, yes, you could probably kill all the Tempests with those Corruptors, but you would lose everything in doing so. That's what... And now he's sending 1 Corruptor at a time to get blown up, which is a bit weird. I mean, he does have those 3 Broodlords. They'll probably get target fired down real fast. If they do manage to stay alive, then we'll be able to clear this up. Neeb's retreating. Sure, of course he is. I mean, he killed the base, and now he's getting out. Why not?
He's playing the surgical style. He's going to go kill the creep to just make sure that at least this... And he's killing his Immortals in the middle of the map, by the way. So he's adding some Void Rays. More Tempest, by the way.
This is a game of 2 players who are absolutely terrified of each other. That's the only way I can explain this.
I don't know that Neeb's terrified. I think he's just playing... He's just playing the game of, like, you're never going to be able to kill this army. I mean, look at the shape of this map. It's very narrow and up and down with a lot of bases in between. So the impetus for Neeb to feel like he has to risk this army and attack is very little. He's now taking another expansion. Unless Zerglings go counter that, it's probably very safe. From there, he can take another base down there. And from those middle bases, he can actually threaten the expansions of Su.
Well, yeah, he's got this 4 Immortal hit squad with +3, which rips through a hatchery in less than 10 seconds. He does lose a Nexus counter to that with the Crackling Run-By. And those Crackling Run-Bys are going to be very important, I think, at this point. All those Corruptors. And here, of course, the Broodlords are going to trap the Immortals and kill them. That was a mistake, I think, from Neeb to allow that to happen.
Well, he's trading him out. He's okay with that. Getting the hatchery was the advantage. He picks off a base on the left side. What isn't okay, and more to your point, is the Zerglings were able to kill that base like you talked about. So Neeb really needs to establish that, and trading out the Immortals is fine and good, but if you're all up in the air, holding an expansion is, you have to dedicate your army to that.
The Corruptors are on top of the Tempest right now. The Mothership is not there with them in order to get them out of here. Neeb is about to lose the most expensive air army in the history of StarCraft 2 if he's not careful. The Storm goes down. Vipers are now in play. Brilliant feedbacks there by Neeb, immediately zapping them before anything can be done. Broodlords are in the mix. There are no longer enough Tempests to bring them down. The ground army is falling, but the Corruptor count is slowly being whirled away. But it's not... They're all gonna die. They're all going to the Mothership. Just at the nick of time, the Mothership, there's no detection, saves the remaining units. But that Mothership not being there.
Wow.
That was a disaster for Neeb.
Well, everything not being there, and it was all of those things coming together. So I was pointing out that without his army defending that base, he can't take it. So Neeb split up his army, put the Mothership over there with a few Templar. But in doing so, for whatever reason, he thought it was okay for his Tempest to be out by themselves, even though he constantly scouted out a tremendous number of Corruptors. Corruptors destroy Tempests. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Tempests are support units that siege from afar. Now, what's interesting is the second, a single Void Ray showed up, a single Mothership, those 25 Corruptors became dirt really quick, which is hilariously... how bad they are, actually, in those fights. But if they can isolate the Tempest, they do their job well.
Well, I mean, that was the ideal position for Sue. That puts Sue right back in the mix. The resources lost in that fight for Neeb were 8,000, by the way. Sue has bled off a huge amount of resources over the course of this game. But, of course, he's had the economy to support that. And Neeb lost units that are very slow to rebuild, extremely expensive, very gas-heavy. He's now adding Void Rays into the mix. Of course he is. But the Corruptor count is starting to climb again. It's at 30. He's adding another 5. More Vipers being added in. And Flying Carapace. I mean, this is going to the skies.
Yep. Both players are getting their super armies. If you can do the right abducts and have your Vipers do the damage they need to do, you can win that fight. But it's a pretty big challenge, because as we saw, 3 Vipers showed up, 3 feedbacks, they're gone. And
I mean, there's 11 Templar, that's... And Neeb was on point with those, and the Viper count is not that high. I mean, it's almost like, I think Sue is well aware of that, which is just why he's not building many Vipers. He's like, you know what, they're not going to get anything done.
Yeah. Which is tough. That's really tough for him, because you either need those or you need Infestors, but trying to fight Void Rays with Storm, with just Corruptors, is a fool's errand. It's not going to go well, and that's with spreading, which he actually hasn't done yet. He's, for the most part, been very kind of bunched up about his units, which, it happens, but in this situation, it's just death. You can't do that.
The Void Ray count is now really high, and they are well upgraded. There are a lot of Corruptors, but Void Rays do have a tendency to chew through them. The Mothership will presumably also be in this fight with them, so this is going to get ugly really fast, one way or the other. The Broodlords are in position now. It's go time. These are not going home. These are going to attack. The Time Warp's put into play. The frame rate drops, as you might expect. And here we go. The air battle of the century.
Viper.
The Corruptors can't get position right now.
No, it's all about the Viper. He needs to abduct that Mothership away so that he can see what he's dealing with, but he just is not able to get close. Neeb doing a good job kind of staying on top of that. Now, what is happening is this base is losing its ability to mine from there because of those Broodlings. And with how long this game has gone on, this is becoming one of the only healthy mining bases. It looks like it's going.
Oh, he's going for it. Here it goes. Oh my god, so many storms. The Void Rays destroy the Corruptor count with the Storm backup as well. The Mothership stays alive through all of that. That means those Broodlords are gonna die. They're not gonna kill that base. Notice the key use of Cloak. Okay, he lost 12 workers, but what, in my eyes, is more important is because the base was cloaked, the Broodlings couldn't attack it. I think he can replace those workers no problem, but replacing the Nexus and having all that time where you can't mine, that's a much bigger deal.
Now, what's interesting is Neeb's going to push out here because behind this, we do see the Zerg players spinning what bank they had. They got a lot of minerals, but it's not about the minerals. It's the gas.
What are you going to do with minerals?
Coming out. Can the Zerglings get on top of the Templar, but also 4 Vipers? In all this chaos with these Templar with fairly low energy, can Stu get the abducts that he needs and jump up? Oh, wow, my passing Templar.
Dicey stuff going on right here. More storms thrown down. Lings running by left, right, and center. Both players are just attacking in so many different positions. It's difficult to control. Sue staves off the execution for the time being. But as you were saying with the Lings, if you bait the Templar away from the Golden Armada, you can then use your Vipers.
Exactly. But I feel like that time's kind of come and gone. I mean, the Tempest count is back up to how... I mean, that is a lot of Tempest. Still has the Void Rays. So it looks like it's going to have to be a stand-up fight again, but in the meantime, Stu is losing these peripheral bases, and Neeb is actually establishing on the right side his own. There's no Ling counterattacks to slow that down. I think Dark Templar were protecting that base. And this is that map dynamic I was talking about, which makes this really, really tough. If Neeb can establish that base, which there's a lot of Lings moving there, maybe you won't be able to, from there, it's like one screen's distance away from being at the other pivotal base for Stu. This base will die.
And the Golden Armada, incredibly slow. It does have recall, which is why it's interesting they didn't recall to that base. He could have probably stopped that from happening, rather than just slowly gliding across the map there. Mothership is sitting on full energy, and of course, Mothership recall is really fast. Faster than the Mothership core. We're in such a weird position now, though. The Templar are now with the Golden Armada again, and there's no answer from the Zerg really to the Cloak either. You know, the Overseers just die immediately. Banelings?
I don't know about that. I mean, they're for the Templar, but that's just a weird choice. Like, at this point, Lings with their upgrades,
they don't
the
reach.
Same.
I mean, unless you were to bury them and actually detonate them as mines, I mean, they're just going to get stormed and killed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they cost gas, which at this point in time is a premium, but I feel like Sue's just, he sees the writing on the wall, and he's going to push in, but he's coming in from one angle. The storms are going to be gross. There's the feedback again. Just trying to get in on top of this army with the Templar control that Neeb is showing is nigh impossible. He's going to go over there.
There
you want to talk about a slaughter.
Too many Void Rays for that to work, and the Broodlords are going to fall as well, and I think finally we have seen that Sue doesn't know what to do. Ultimately, this position for Protoss, with 3-3-3 full air, is not a position where anyone should ever be anyway. So is there an answer to that? If there is, Sue hasn't found it. I assume he's very rarely in this position. He doesn't know what to do. What he tried to do didn't work. And this is going to be a last stand here for the SKT-1 Zerg.
And now we can see why Neeb played the way he did. He just wanted to get the game to this situation on this map, where his army is pretty much invincible. He made a huge mistake with the Tempest, and even so, is here in such dominant position. And there is those Banelings getting in on, I think, a lot of the Templar, if not most of them, but the Vipers are gone for the most part. The Corruptor count is low and hurt. So it's too little too late. And here's the parade.
Yeah, this is going to be it. The Golden Armada slices right down the middle of the Zerg, destroying base after base after base. The Mothership is focused down, which is lovely, but the Banelings try and connect with the Templar. They get most of them, but it doesn't matter. There's no Vipers anyway. The air army evaporates. GG. The Kesper Cup champion puts down Sue in a ridiculous game. You know, a very, very passive game. I mean, God, that was so passive, I thought he was 2012 Mana there for a second. Unbelievable.
But we saw the full, we saw his vision. Like, it was confusing for a second there. He was so ahead of Sue and seemed to be like just one timing attack away from winning, but that army was never about doing the timing attack. We saw the transition to Templar. We're like, oh, that's cool for Banelings. I can really understand this. And then when he did nothing with that, we're like, what's going on? But those Templar ditch their ground brethren. They go to the Golden Armada like you talked about. And it just looks so hard for Zerg to deal with that. Like, I feel like there was that moment in time where maybe 4D Mutas could have done something. But even then, he's like, there's cannons everywhere, there's Templar, and he is making an air army. Maybe Mutas don't actually do anything, and then he just wasted 4,000 gas, and that's game there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking through the possibilities, like, things that he didn't use that might have worked. I mean, the only thing that I'm even coming up with, and this probably doesn't work anymore, would be Mass Infesta. You know? Fungal and a ton of Infested Terrans. And just hit and run with it, you know? Don't take a direct fight, kill a bunch of stuff with it, back off, get some energy back. That kind of thing. You know, maybe then you possibly, I don't know how you do it, but mind control a mothership.
Yeah.
But it's a very pie-in-the-sky idea. But obviously, what Sue did was not effective. It did not do the job.
And it came down to a couple little things too, like Abe having the Templar constantly on absolute lock, like just doing such a good job of always feedbacking the Vipers.
Oh god, yes.
Always storming every time those Corruptors even thought about shooting anything. Really pays dividends in the end. I know that's like a silly thing to say. People are like, of course they did that. They're professional players. It's not as easy as Neeb made it look. And but to your point, yeah, the range of Neural Parasite, perhaps a couple of Fungals holding the Void Rays in position, and then having the Vipers try and land a distance shot on them, like that's the kind of stuff that maybe could have kind of done it. But by no means would I sit here and be like, yeah, Sue messed up terribly. He didn't make any Infestors. What an idiot. It's a tough spot to be in. Really tough.
It really is. But you gotta admire Neeb's patience, you know? Outside of the big mistake with the Tempest, a lesser player would have probably been far more impetuous than that and got caught out by a player of Sue's caliber. He ground Sue down. Like, that is going to be a very depressing loss. That is going to be a loss that certainly hovers on your mind. Oh dear. But Neeb proving once again he's not a flash in the pan. I mean, I don't think anyone believes that anymore. You know, the Kesper Cup win should be enough to shut up everybody, and if it's not, what the hell is wrong with you at this point? But
well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's nobody to shut up. Everyone was on that Neeb hype train for a while. He's did well at the back-to-back DreamHack Austin, and I can't remember the other event, but in 2 events he was in the finals, doing really, really well for himself. Goes to Korea, just seems to get even better. The only guy that would need to shut up is actually Neeb himself. He's the only person that doubts Neeb.
Oh
Neeb.
God, yeah.
It's like a snoot thing. I don't know.
There's self-deprecation, and then there's depressing.
Theirs is honest though. Like back in my day with Brood War, we had Mondragon, who every time anyone ever interviewed him, they're like, Mondragon, you're so amazing. You know, how do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm not that great. I got lucky. Everyone's like, shut up. You're absolutely one of the best. These guys, Snoot and Neeb, they actually believe it. They're like, no, I lost 5 games in practice today. It's like, Neeb, you played 60 games. He's like, yeah, but I mean, those 5 games. It's like, come on, man. You're good.
No doubt. By the way, the sound of that camera, that was me taking a screenshot of ShoutCraft Kings being the #1 stream on Twitch, beating the official Riot Games channel.
We did it!
And I don't care if it's a rebroadcast. It's the Riot Games channel.
Yes. All right, that seems like as good a place as any to close it up. That's all we want to do, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back never.
We have got way more to come. Neeb has just started his reign, and I have a bunch of cool players for him to play against, and I'm about to give away codes for Abathur and Nova. I mean, what more could you bloody well want? We're going to take a very short break while we do that, and you better stick around, because Neeb is on the throne, and we're going to see some great games for the rest of this event. Still got some awesome players coming up, some more debuts. It's going to be great. This is ShoutCraft Kings. Don't go anywhere. Alright, folks. I said I was going to give away those codes, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. I am heading over to Twitter to try and find the hashtag. And I'm going to pick 10 winners to receive these codes. Let's see what we got here. Alright, so I'm going to pull this up. I don't use Twitter very often. That's probably for the best. Let's see what we got. I'd like to, of course, thank everybody for supporting this tournament today. This has been great. I mean, Kings is always my highlight of the month. And the sheer amount of support that we get for the event is ridiculous. The fact that it keeps growing. That it was not a flash-in-the-pan event. That people didn't lose interest after the first one. It wasn't a novelty. That is humbling, and I am so happy that you guys are here. Thank you so much for your support, and we're going to keep doing this and hopefully bring you some really damn entertaining stuff. And keep an eye out for November. I have a massive announcement. Okay, let's find this down. How do you search for a bloody hashtag on Twitter? How do you do this? Let's see. Twitter search. Advanced search. Here we go. Okay, we're looking for a hashtag. Hashtag ShoutCraft Kings. Alright. I'm going to jumble these up. Make sure we're not just picking the latest ones. And I'm going to pick 10 at random. All right. The first winner of an Abathur announce pack is at Tegraphile. That is at Tegraphile on Twitter. Congratulations to you. The second winner at Leo Starcraft. Congratulations to at Leo Starcraft. You also get yourself an Abathur announce pack. The third winner at Snarfu Zerg. Congratulations at Snarfu Zerg. You win yourself an Abathur announce pack. The fourth winner of an Abathur announce pack at Official Aeon Blue. That is at Official Aeon Blue. Congratulations, you win yourself an announce pack. And for the last announce pack, the winner is Ro Says. At Ro Says, also known as Matt Orizum. You win yourself an Abathur announce pack. Congratulations. These are all randomly drawn from the ShoutCraft Kings hashtag. Alright. We have some Nova Commanders to give away. The first winner of the Nova announce pack is the one and only Walteri V. Congratulations at Walteri V. You win yourself a Nova Commander pack. The second winner at Overtime Comics. Congratulations at Overtime Comics. Nova Commander pack for co-op mode for you. The third winner on Twitter at Makeri I'm sorry, I'm completely mispronouncing this one. Makeri Dereke Lena B. Congratulations, you win yourself a Nova Commander pack. Two more to go. H. Jacksify, aka Kevin Conrad. You win yourself a Nova Announcer pack. And last, but by no means least, the final winner, Legion 001. Congratulations, Legion 001. You win yourself a Nova Commander pack. We'll be DMing those codes over. Big thanks to Blizzard for giving us some stuff to give away. And congratulations to all of our winners. And big thanks to anyone that has contributed to the ShoutCraft Kings hashtag today. Contributing to the success of this event. Absolutely fantastic. Alright. A very short break now that we've done that. Just going to take 1 minute to make sure everything's in place, and then we'll be right back. Neba's on the throne, and there are plenty of hungry people looking to knock him the hell off to prove that he is not, in fact, the most dominant player in the world. Neeb has something else to say about that. We'll be right back after the break here on ShoutCraft Kings. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ShoutCraft Kings. I did say it would be a short break because we have too much action to hold back. And Neeb just made the tournament much longer, so there's that as well.
Hopefully. He's won, what, 2 games?
He's won 1. He's won 1.
Okay, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah. Nobody gets to 3 today. That's apparently not going to happen. Here's the thing, though. There was a really amazing matchup in ShoutCraft Kings August. And me being the capricious sort that I am, wants to see that again. One of the most incredible PvPs we've ever had the pleasure to witness happened in ShoutCraft August between these 2 players. One player was Neeb, and the other player was Patience.
Patience has had a bit of a transformation that's been occurring for a while. It's been awesome to see. He was one of those guys that, like, somehow kind of made it out of the Korean scene and was doing foreigner tournaments, but it's like, you know, how does this even happen? He wasn't necessarily a top-tier Korean. Obviously very good, but not one of the absolute gods that you just send out to win. But then he kind of did win. But it was, you know, he'd lose to foreigners too. But then he's been in Korea for the last year and a half or 2. And in that time, he's maintained that work ethic and had that talent. And has become quite the beast. He's really, really good.
Absolutely. He has been playing some amazing StarCraft. His current form is phenomenal. You know what really tickles me about this match? Not only is this a rematch of one of the greatest PvPs ever, it's on the same damn map.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could watch this match forever. And if I have my way about it, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're just going to keep running this match every single tournament. Hopefully it gets better and better every time. That's how it works, right?
I'm excited for you to hype it up mega, and then just a single disruptor shot ends this game, and we all just go away.
I mean, it could happen too. It is PvP. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a rematch from ShoutCraft Kings August. It is perhaps the only time that Reddit has ever said this PvP is awesome. Let's see if that happens again. To the southeast position. I thought... Are we on the wrong server?
We're on the American server.
Yeah, the problem is there's like now 3 American servers.
Oh.
Hang on a sec. Wrong. Which server are we on? Hang on. I don't want this to go badly.
Type him in, John.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out. Oh, apparently we're on Central. That would... I think we should be on West. Right, I think we should remake. I don't want to see... yeah, we're going to remake the game, because honestly, a PvP with a Korean stuck on Central, bear in mind Neba's in America right now, would be... No, that would not be fair. Generally speaking, if you're playing America versus Korean, you go West Coast. It gives the Koreans the best ping. So we are remaking the game. I just want to ensure that we get the best possible game here.
Don't you also not have a... It's like... Not random in particular, but you don't choose...
You can choose now. That's the weird thing. It's a recent change since they updated in the patch. You can actually choose from 3 different American servers. So when you do cross-server matchups, you can try and tweak it to make sure it's fair. And generally speaking, if you're fighting against a Korean, you want West Coast. If it's a European versus a Korean... Central usually gives a balanced ping for both. It depends. For some Europeans, East Coast is better. For some, it's not so great. The Eastern Europeans in particular might even prefer West. It's weird, but we're trying to make it as fair as possible, obviously, for everybody, so I don't want this match to be ruined by ping.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's an online tournament, there's gonna be ping issues, but why make it worse than it has to be, you know?
Make it as little as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Minimize it as much as possible. Obviously, these guys all know what it takes to play online. It is an online game. If you don't know how to play online games, you probably shouldn't call yourself a professional gamer.
No. Well, it's interesting, too, because with, you know, the scene as it is, the pros that are kind of left behind are the hardcore pros that have either been in it for the longest time or are new to it, but are like this next generation of like, that is what we deal with. There is no other alternative. I don't know about LAN. So it's nice because there's a lot less salt, I would say, these days. It sure still does exist, but it's just not as much as it used to be. It used to be like you couldn't do an online tournament without everyone constantly talking about ping and servers and where it's at.
It's always gonna happen, you know. The excuses are always made, and in an ideal world, every tournament would be played on a LAN at a LAN.
John, you talk about it like
I
that
said LAN.
even available.
A LAN, Blizzard, but they know what I mean. It's been a complaint for years. Or, you know, ideally they would be played on the same server in ideal conditions. But this is a worldwide esport, and that simply does not happen. And every game has to deal with that fact. Every game, all the time. And I feel it's part of a pro gamer skill set to be able to adapt to that. And if you have a build that is so dependent on ping that your control needs to be absolutely perfect, maybe don't do that build. Do a build that is less dependent on ping. There are plenty of them.
It's an obstacle. We all know about it. You know?
You're
going to be on the receiving end of it and the benefiting end of it at some point as well.
Yeah, you do not always get to play under ideal conditions. That is true in every sport. Every sport, and it includes this as well. But here we go.
We're gonna have that PvP, and they are kind of a quick, funny note. They're not walling in at the ramp, which is again not 100% what you must do. But if you do go in here, you have to have an idea and a base design around what if they open up double adept. So that's very important in terms of pylon placement. We'll see some people use their gateways and cybernetics core to kind of wall off a side of the map so that that short-range adept doesn't have as much access to the mineral line. We can kind of see that, by the way, in Patience's base. That right side is a building our way, or it actually might just actually right now be walled off. But that has to be on your mind.
No doubt. And these guys know each other well. They have literally played the same match on the same map multiple times. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is an evolution. This is not a case of two players that don't meet all that often. They absolutely do. Here is the double adept opening from Neeb. And yet, we don't see... Is he going to save for Stalkers here?
Well, Patience drops the Nexus. What he follows that up with... It could be Stalkers, or it could just be his own adepts. Of course, at this stage, they would be defensive adepts. Mm-hmm. They would be of the idea of killing the adepts that come into his base. And
it is gonna... Well, actually, the follow-up is gonna be Stalkers from Neeb. Yeah. Now,
yeah, Neeb with his own Stalkers, and those are defensive Stalkers, but what he doesn't know is that the Nexus is already down. So it's not the biggest of deals. Like, as you can see, he's going to build his own. But again, and this is a point you made a couple PvPs ago, in a mirror matchup, that not so big of a deal becomes quite a bit, much more of a big deal.
It's absolutely magnified in the mirror, there's no doubt, because that asymmetry isn't there. It's simple numbers. That's simple mathematics. You can't argue with them. And this is...
You can, but...
You can try. I mean, if this election cycle has taught us anything, it's that there are no facts, apparently, only feels. But regardless, this is a pretty decent start for Patience. You know, he's kind of getting away with a slightly greedier opening.
Oh! He does get the Photon Overcharge, which at this stage... So, because they both are starting to have 4 and 6 units come out, the impact of 2 adepts is not nearly as much. And if you look at the follow-up from Neeb is going Stargate, but it's delayed. It's a bit later, right? So obviously that 1 Photon Overcharge, not the biggest deal. But
there's another one though. This is starting to become a bigger deal because Neeb is going double Stargate. And not having those pylons and not having that Photon Overcharge energy is going to make getting rid of oracles or indeed just any flying unit a hell of a lot harder. And I'm very surprised that Patience... I mean, it was obviously a very clever trick by Neeb. He held on to the last possible moment to cancel those Adept Shades. But Patience got duped twice. A little bit of a hair trigger there. And it could affect this.
Going to get in here, and if Neeb's not careful, they're actually going to scout out the double Stargate. But a bit of a misclick here from Patience.
Oh, yeah, losing 2 Adepts for nothing. Anyways. Yeah, he wasn't getting out of that.
He never would have seen it. Never would have seen it, probably. I don't think the Shade would make it all the way up there, but...
Probably not. I wonder what Patience is thinking now, then. I mean, he's going Twilight Council here, and he's going Warp Prism. That Warp Prism is going to have a very hard time getting anything done with that kind of Phoenix coverage on the map.
Yes, that's putting it lightly, I would say. These 4 Adepts will get picked up here. Of course, it is 4 Adepts, so actually 1 or 2 might survive and get some scouting done, but for the most part, they're dead. But this Phoenix opener is coming out into a world that is built for it. As you said, the Warp Prism is going to have its own time. It might actually get picked up in the middle of the map. It might just pass. Neeb saw it. Yeah, he's trying to intercept it. He's got it. That Warp Prism is 200 dead minerals right now. There's no doubt about it. Patience going to get nothing out of that. Neeb now adding... Wow, we're actually seeing Dark Shrine here out of Patience. Now, economically, they're both fairly even. Tech-wise, Patience is obviously going in a very different direction, looking for Blink. There goes that Photon Overcharge. That's going to force that away. Yeah, the one at the back being used as well, which is, again, a little bit of a surprise. You can't have expected Blink to commit there. No, but it's not, and that's going to be a really big problem. Moves into for the interception, a little bit of an awkward position. There's just enough space there in the base design of Patience to allow those Stalkers to get in there, but those Phoenixes are going to be a real pain. And maybe pick off the Mothership Core here, actually. Tries to go for it. Actually goes for the lift on the probes instead as the Mothership Core backs off. And the Phoenixes get out with no losses. Get a few kills there. He's going to scout. This is a normal reaction. You see double Stargate. You take your third pretty quick, because if you're investing into Phoenix quite a bit, you're not going to have the army. Now, let me finish this point because it's very interesting. Neeb's taking his own third, but you'll notice it's only the 4 Phoenix, which off of Double Stargate is not usual.
No.
He followed this up with a few Void Rays as kind of a like, yeah, if you're going to push out against me, I need some anti-armor. Void Ray is very good against Stalkers. I was thinking he might try to snowball that into some kind of timing attack because here he is coming back to Phoenix, but no, he's going to take his own third.
Yeah, he's resuming the Phoenix production again. You know, he's seeing the amount of Stalkers. He knows Blink is going to come along, but as you said, if he continues to produce Void Rays, those Blink Stalkers really wouldn't matter all that much. The Void Rays would cut through them, the Phoenixes would provide a little bit of tanking, and obviously lifts as well.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious where he goes with this. I thought he would just try to sneak out, like, surprise, all of a sudden I have 12 Void Rays.
Yeah.
Void Ray is generally not very good in this matchup, but if you're not being scouted, if you're, you know, if you can surprise someone with them, they'll kill, you know, damn near infinity number of Stalkers. But
absolutely.
Neeb's going to play it safe. He just goes up to 6 Phoenix, which is also a little bit interesting. Loses 1 there. Not the biggest of deals. You just can't lose too many more than that.
Yep, there's the Photon Overcharge going in there as well, and Patient sort of finally taking his finger off the trigger. Didn't want to throw down yet another one on that pylon that would have been wasted. He does have his Blink Stalkers available now. So the question is, where are we going from here? You know, this has been a very a careful game, poking and prodding on both sides, both very respectful of each other.
Well, with the Stargates...
Charge.
Oh, charge? Yeah, okay. Not the most common upgrade, but if he's going to continue, well, he's adding 5 more Gateways, Temple Archive, so it is going to be like Charge Light Archon. With those Phoenix, so this is the synergy that's really cool. If he's facing Disruptors, you can use your Phoenix to pick them up. So obviously with only 5 Phoenix you couldn't, but with Double Stargate, if you notice Disruptors, you can just add, you know, now I'm at 11, now 12, now 14 Phoenix pretty quickly, and Disruptors do not have a good time there.
You're absolutely right. And behind all of this, Neeb has been slowly edging ahead in terms of his economy, and the amount of gateways he now has on the ground is very, very high. You know, it's insane. Patience, adding Archons, and Resonating Glaives. Now, how well do Resonating Glaive Adepts do in large numbers against charging Zealots?
Not super amazing. I mean, they're okay, but it's more just that I don't know the math off the top of my head, but it's not that favorable for the Adepts. And they do cost gas, so the charge lots are able to be backed up by a decent number of Archons, typically speaking. And especially if they can land that hit. I mean, what Patience is hoping is that right now, Neeb is caught with some kind of weird Stargate army, but he's not. He's got a lot of gateways of his own. He has more than enough to handle this.
Nice distraction, though. He was able to pull that army slightly back and then bring in the Blink Stalkers to do economic damage. Takes out the pylon as well, and Patience can back up. The army can't chase it down yet. The mass charge lot force isn't here yet. So Patience actually hit it about the best time he could.
Yeah, he's up with a decent chunk of supply. It's a good timing attack. But the army's isolated, and the Archons are up in the front. He shades back there, but most of the army's being force fielded or at least distracted back there. But there's just too much. Patience manages a gigantic supply advantage here.
All of those Adepts just getting right into the thick of it and focusing down on that tech-heavy army. And Patience is able to break it. He hit at just the right time. If there had been, you know, say 2 big mass warp-ins of charge lots off that huge number of gateways, that army would not have been able to do that. But Patience, recognizing his timing, goes for it, and he hits it.
And it was actually weird because a lot of the Stalkers were shooting probes, they were shooting the Nexus, they weren't actually a part of the fight. The Archons were kind of out of position.
Yeah.
But because he shaded forward and because these Adepts weren't facing, like you said, that critical mass of Zealots, they were just good enough. It was... He came out of that fight significantly ahead.
That he did. Now, Neeb is not out of the fight as of yet. Of course, he's now going to start to play defensively. And there are 2 Archons in play, but of course you get a lot of charging Zealots, especially since they now have the +2 attack upgrade. Then that will certainly help. But Patience is going to go for it. Is this a good idea on this defensive position? I guess we're about to find out. In come again the Adepts. And Neeb's Archons are not quite enough, and the Stalkers at the back here for Patience remain untouched. However, with 2 more Immortals, Patience can't yet break this position. And it doesn't matter, because Neeb just tapped out anyway.
He broke it enough. I mean, Neeb doesn't have a third. He has that, like, weird 4th base out there, but he can't hope to hold it or saturate it. and they were just trading out, but trading from an unfair position from Neeb. And I'll tell you what, I went into that, and it's like, how do charge lots favor against Adepts? I do think that there's a certain point where Adepts become the worst option, but I do feel like there is a pretty large window of time where Adepts are favorable and strong, and Patience just knew that and was able to hit that. Being the aggressor is also important there. If the charge lots can kind of get into your base and start, wreaking havoc there, but then also fighting out in the open. Adepts melt if they're getting hit by Archons and a significant number of Immortals backed by Zealots. But if they're able to just get a good concave, get a good circle, and they're not getting hit by those range units, they will cleave through everything. And that's what he kept doing. He kept shading forward into the backfield. The Zealots were just washing up into Archons and Stalkers with just tons of range shooting there. And then Adepts were shooting things like 1 or 2 Immortals and a single Archon, and that's a great fight for them.
Yeah, that was not quite as good of a game as I was hoping for, let me put it that way. I remember the last one just being absolutely electrifying, and that one certainly was not. And Neeb looked pretty good in the early game, but Patience exploited that timing perfectly. He recognized what was going on, and he hit at just the right time. If he'd hit a minute later, that would probably not have gone his way at all. There would have been a huge warp in. There were like 10 plus gateways available for Neeb to warp in strong charge lots. That would have made a big difference in that fight. But there you go.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the funny things is we build it up. We're like, oh, this could be so amazing, but then
sometimes
what ends
it
up
isn't.
happening.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's not, but also on days like this where the rule of thumb right now is someone wins in convincing fashion, we get really excited, and then they get slaughtered.
Yes, that has been what's happened the entire event up to this point. I guess expecting that to change was not going to happen. Interestingly enough, that marks a pretty significant loss for Neeb, having had the time of his life with PvP over the last month.
Yeah.
I mean, most of his matches in the Casper Cup were PvP, and he won 4-0 against Trap, 3-1 against Stats, 2-0 against Classic.
He was looking good. It's not. I don't look at this game and say Neeb really messed this up or something like that. That timing attack from Patience hit at a very important time. It was going to be Robo production with Archon charge lot, and there was already Phoenix up in the air. They were on equal-ish basis, but Neeb had saturated his and taken his, I believe, actually a little bit later, but it was the composition of Neeb had more legs the longer the game goes. That number of Stalkers, not very good, except for with Disruptors, but like I said, Disruptors kind of a bad option with the Phoenix out on the map. So it was looking bad for Patience if the game were to go on, and he hit that, I'm not going to call it a keyhole timing attack, but he just hit the right time. There was a window there. It was not insignificant, but if he didn't attack at that time, I feel like he was going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. And he did exactly what he needed to do. He executed it very well, and unfortunately, Neeb takes a loss and is out of the tournament. However, we have other players, and Patience, can he be the one? Can he be the guy that manages to hold on for more than 2 maps in this event? We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 players left. It's possible. It can be done. Will Patience be the man to do it? Well, in order to do that, he's going to have to overcome his next challenger.